All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to a live episode of the Give 'em Heck podcast. I'm Brian. This is your host, Penny, and I am getting a lot of feedback.
I fixed it.
You,
I
you
always
messed up again. No, I'm kidding.
I'm allowed one mistake a day.
I was gonna say that's it. No more.
No more.
Yeah, geez, that caught me off guard. I ruined the introduction. Hi,
Sorry.
everybody. So yeah, no, we're very excited for today's episode. This is going to be probably a long one, an intense one. And let's just say, I can give a few of my own disclaimers. I want to say that the things that will be discussed in today's episode are very personal to us. We've done a lot of extensive research into the things that we will be discussing tonight, and I want all of you to know that even if we say something that is against your personal viewpoints or your beliefs, your ideas, your opinions, I want you to know that what we believe is not an attack.
No.
I guess. Everybody comes to certain journeys in life differently, and I'm not saying that in the sense of like there's multiple truths. I'm just saying I'm saying it in the sense of open your hearts to this conversation, because this isn't like our other episodes. And I also want you guys to realize that we're not veering the direction of our show.
No.
We still very much intend on talking about the things that we've been discussing in the past, getting into really in-depth conversations. However, due to people wanting to know more about us, we've had a lot of questions, and obviously it took us some time to think about it, because at first we really weren't sure if we wanted to, but after hearing some of the things that our viewers have said, we feel that it's time and people want to know.
Right.
Not just about us, but our beliefs, because we've had, I mean, I don't know about you, but I myself have had a lot of people say, like, what on earth did you go through to make you so full of, like, I guess for lack of a better word, knowledge?
Explore.
Yeah.
Or question.
Yeah.
Or yes.
So that's my side of it. I'll let you take the reins from here, and we'll go down this road and see where it ends up.
We'll have fun. So I always start by reading our disclaimer, so I'm going to do that right now. So our disclaimer is that we are not doctors, psychologists, or counselors. We're not given any medical or psychological advice. We're just simply here to discuss real life situations to give hope, encouragement, and instill change. And I'm sure all of you have seen the title of the episode tonight called Transformation Through Your Journey. And like Brian was saying, a lot of people for him have been coming to him and asking him a lot of questions, asking me a lot of questions. And it took us a while to get to this point to see if it was something we even wanted to discuss. But I feel that in this time, I do see a lot of people going through different journeys.
Yeah.
A lot of people are questioning a lot of things in life. And I know for me, that happened with my mother's passing.
Yeah.
That it really made me question a lot of things to the point where a lot of my views are now changing. So if that makes sense, we'll continue from there. So in our podcast, we do focus on hope, encouragement, and change. And like Brian said, we're not changing the format or what we're doing in our podcast. We're just carrying on by adding this because this is something that our viewers have been asking for. So it's kind of like, okay, if this is what they want, then this is what we're going to do. So one way we do encourage change, and you hear that a lot in our podcast, is to respect and encourage others where they are in their journey. We shouldn't tell people what to believe or judge people for what they believe. We should guide and not divide in our differences to where we're going, because everybody is at different places. And when I talk about judging, that we shouldn't do, but rather guide instead of divide is I find that sometimes people get mad
Yeah.
at other people because they don't believe what they do. Well, you shouldn't get mad at other people. This is my opinion. You shouldn't get mad at other people for what they believe because that's where they're at in their journey.
Well, not only that, but it's like, how narrow-minded does an individual have to be to get mad at somebody for just simply voicing their opinion
Well,
or sharing their beliefs or sharing their
Exactly.
path?
That's
It
mhm.
it's arrogant. To put it bluntly, it's arrogant. Like, even if giving the benefit of the doubt that their opinions are wrong entirely. If they are just voicing themselves, voicing their minds, why does it matter?
Right. It doesn't have to change your point of view.
No, it doesn't. And see, that's
it
the thing.
shouldn't. It's
See,
your journey.
that's what I do when I'm in discussions with people. Very heated sometimes in my discussions. Sometimes most of the time, thankfully, they're very good. But the one thing that I always do is if I see somebody presenting a fact or an opinion or an idea that's wrong, instead of getting mad at them, I challenge them.
Mhm.
I ask them questions. I
Mhm.
get them to almost question themselves. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You open them up through healthy and engaging conversation.
Mhm.
It's almost like I'm trying to understand their beliefs without trying to understand, if that makes sense.
It does, because here's my point of view on that is who's to say who's right or wrong if it's your journey? Do you know what I'm saying? To me, there could be right or wrongs, but what your right and my wrong, or your wrong and my right isn't right or wrong because it's where you're at.
Yeah.
You know, I'm finding that there were a lot of things in life that I believed that now I'm finding were wrong.
That's
And
part of your journey.
that's part of my journey, right? But it's about stepping out and keeping an open mind.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So for me to judge someone's journey because I think they're wrong, maybe they're not.
Maybe they're onto something you haven't discovered yet.
Thank you. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. It's your truth,
Mhm.
right? And maybe I might learn from that in this point that I might find out that maybe something I believe is wrong or vice versa, you know?
Yep. 100%.
So what we should do is we should encourage people to explore, ask questions, and find their way. Because in our differences, we have found that we are very much alike. We're just on different paths, right?
Yep.
So we should inspire to aspire. Does that make sense?
Mm.
Inspire people to move on. Don't judge, and just maybe it will inspire them to go in a direction that they've never thought of before. To question everything to help find your truth in your journey. We're all individuals trying to find truths. We are not cookie cutter individuals. In our differences, we all bring something to the table, and that's what I like, is that when you keep an open mind to listen to people and what their beliefs are, where they're at in their journey, or maybe what they don't believe. Like you said, Brian, you want to know why they think the way they do.
I'm always prodding people's minds. Like, even if I hear something that's so far out in left field, you know, based on a person's journey, like you were saying, I always like to discover not what they believe, but why they believe it.
Wow, I like that. Yeah, because you might find something in that for you, and it might change your mind.
Find something in their beliefs that changes mine, or at the very least come to a compromise on our walks of life.
Yeah, because we've all been brought up different.
Mhm.
We've all been brought up with different mindsets. We've all been taught different things. And it's no one's fault. It just is.
Yeah.
So we have found, Brian, in our discussions that there are things that we don't always agree on.
Mhm.
And that's okay, right?
Mhm.
So you just have to find a way to agree to disagree. Because where you're at in your life, the things that you've learned, things that you're learning.
Mhm.
Your journey's not mine and mine's not yours.
Yeah. Well, it applies the same thing in my debates because when I've reached a point where where me and my opponent can't agree,
Mm.
um, the thing I always try to do is find common ground,
Nice.
a place where we can both stand equal, and then pick things apart from there.
Yeah, because
It's always important to find common ground first.
right.
It's setting up a foundation,
Well, and it's not a competition.
right?
It's just where you're at.
Yeah.
Because you can find that through,
And obviously, there's a difference between a debate and having a discussion on life, but there are similarities between the two.
right.
You know, in healthy, engaging conversation.
And there it is, right? The healthy, engaging conversation.
Yep.
Instead of getting mad at someone because they might not think or believe the way you do.
Yeah.
I don't think that that's healthy to get upset with somebody because they might not agree or believe what you believe. So, Brian, with that being said, why don't you share with us what you believe?
Oh, I was under the impression you were going to go
Well,
first.
because
You sure you want to start with me?
yes, I do. Because I will say I do believe a lot. We do have a few differences, but
All right. Well, I guess I will begin by saying, as everyone is aware that has watched our episodes before, hi, my name is Brian. I am a 33-year-old who grew up in a very nice home. I am a Christian, and I am not just a Christian by label. I am a Bible believing, born again Christian. I believe the Bible is literally true and accurate through archaeological discoveries and other things of the sort. It brought me to what brought me to this position is mostly my upbringing. I did grow up in a Christian home. However, to say that we were um, devoted would be not a very accurate thing. Um, my life was filled with a lot of, I don't want to use the word trauma because it brings me to a position where it makes me feel like I'm a victim. And I have said in prior episodes that I am not a victim. Um, I was a very angry kid. Um, I obviously don't want to go into too much detail about family, but I felt very alone growing up. I was bullied very heavily in high school to the point where you actually had to pull me out and homeschool me for a while, and went to a Christian school for the latter half of my high school years. But it didn't, before I got to that point, my young life was filled with a lot of anger, a lot of resentment, mostly towards myself. I never Um, I never got to a state of self-harm. It was, funny enough, harm towards others that I gained a lot of respite from the war going on in my head. Um, Throughout my teenage years, I started to resent my parents um, for the way that their path was going, and I'm sure you'll get into it. But you guys had redevoted your lives to God,
mhm,
and that made me resent you even more. I was a very strong believer in secular ideologies like evolution and other secular systems, which, people are probably watching this and like, how can you not believe in evolution? Well, that's a conversation we may have another
another
time, but basically the whole revolving factor around it is I despised the church. I despised God. I didn't want to say I ever didn't believe, but I didn't want anything to do with him. Um, and especially from my own father, because my dad, um, was, I don't want to say absent in my life, but growing up wasn't really there.
You didn't have a close relationship.
No. And ironically, one of the days or the day that I became a believer, it was my dad who actually led me to God.
Oh.
So I asked myself a question that day. A couple of questions. What makes what I currently believe wrong? And what makes Christianity right?
Wow.
And I know there's a lot of different denominations of Christianity, so I want to make it very clear I am not denominational in the slightest. I would even say that I am not religious in the slightest. Those who know me in real life know that I do not hold back on my opinions. I say it how it is. My belief influences me a lot in the decisions that I make because I hold myself accountable with honor and integrity, knowing that there's more to me than I thought I knew or that I thought I was. And the path that I had been on through life, had it continued, I know I would not be sitting here today. I don't know where I would have ended up, but I guarantee you it wouldn't have been here. In fact, if you had told me, back then that a year from the day that I found God would be, on this path, I would have called you a liar. Because when I say I hated God, I'm not kidding. I absolutely despise the idea. But in doing that, I got saved when I was 16 years old. And at first I was very religious. I fell into the, again, I'm going to be blunt about it. I fell into the lie of self-salvation, that I had to do something to obtain grace in some way. And as I grew and I learned, the more I observed that the more religious I became, the more it would push people away.
Mm.
The more that it would make people resent the idea of believing. I actually lost a best friend because of it. And when I say lost, I don't mean like him and I just stopped being friends anymore. He is no longer with us. Now, obviously, his path was his own, but if I could have reached out to him differently, I believe that the friendship could have lasted, that it could have been saved. And I guess the crux of the situation was religion cannot work in a grace-based environment, because the more that I started to view myself as if I could achieve, and I'm getting to a point, the more I observed that I could achieve salvation through my own actions, the more I started to realize that I was rising to a position of arrogance, that I would boast about my position, that I would see myself as better than everybody else. And then it led me to dig. Because again, I asked myself the question when I first became a believer when I was 16 years old of what makes this different? What more to me is there that I think there is? Then years went on. The things that I know now would probably blow your mind. To say that I know everything, nah. I know I don't know everything. But I have an answer for everything. And that's not arrogance. Because there are things that change my mind every day. There are things that open my eyes up to different perspectives every day. But when it comes to the idea of believing that, number one, I am more than what I believed I was, and the path of religious doctrine led me to a place where I would just look at the rest of the people around me and think, you should be doing this different. That all started to fall apart the more I started to take my eyes off of myself. And I started to look past the individual themselves and look at their heart.
Oh,
And that's the crux of it. By the way, hello, Chelsea.
she's on. Oh, there she is. Yay. Hi, Chels.
But I've throughout the years of this, when I started to become more knowledgeable, I started hosting, or not hosting, but I started participating in a lot of online debates, both in a lot of different topics. And I'm sure a lot of people who watch our show could probably tell that I'm very good with explaining in words. And I believe that's a gift, that this has been put on me to be in a position where I can explain points that a lot of other people can't, but say it in a humbling way.
There you go.
Because I'm not the kind of person who likes to think of myself that I know more than you. I'm the kind of person who thinks I can offer you something.
Nice.
Something that you've probably never heard before. And without getting too much into where I am currently, because I'm sure things will progress as we go. My position in life is clear. I'm happy where I'm at. And I do believe that if people want to know the truth, they will find it. Whether it's through self-reflection or even belief.
You mean their own path? Their own journey?
Yep. All roads, or I shouldn't say all, I should say there can be many different roads to one destination.
There you go.
It just depends on how long each individual road is.
Or how deep, far, and wide you want to go.
Yep.
So I wanted you to start off with that first, Brian, because you had mentioned about Dad and I. And the thing is being brought up myself in a religious background. We talked about at one podcast, and it could have been last week's, I don't remember, where sometimes it takes something dramatic, or maybe not extremely dramatic, to happen to make you step back to reevaluate.
Yep.
And when I mentioned about, for me, it took Mom. For you, you just explained your story. And when Mom passed away, a lot of people had said that the reason she had passed was because I didn't have enough faith. And I started really exploring that, because I started looking at myself and thinking, well, I felt I had enough faith for everything and anyone and everyone. But not to elaborate too much on that part, because you can go back and watch a podcast for that. But like you, I started exploring things and questioning things. And now I'm finding that my path has changed. A lot of things I'm re-questioning, I'm reevaluating, and we talk about those things a lot. And not to say that I feel I was lied to purposely or maliciously. I just think that along the way, people just did what they knew to do. Like, I'm not upset with anybody that said even those things to me. I think it's just where they're at. Was I angry at first? Yes. But now, like you, I've stepped back and I look at the situation different, and I look at the person more from a personal perspective, one, at their heart, and two, what they're going through, because they're only talking from their understanding of where they're at. So I don't feel I was lied to or led astray maliciously. I think I was just told those things because that's what they knew. That's what they felt I needed to hear. You know what I mean? They may have been doing it out of comfort. But I will say this. You had mentioned to me the other day, Brian, you said that even in the bad things, good things can come out of it. Now, like you sitting here today, wondering where your path would have taken you, I can honestly say that if you'd have told me 3 years ago when Mom passed away that I'd be sitting here exploring, questioning, and feeling where I'm at, I probably would have said you were crazy.
Mhm.
But you know what? Through Mom's death, it has caused me to question, explore. So I can say that, say this, good things have come from it. I mean, look at the podcast itself.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. In response to what you said, Chelsea, you would be surprised how often that has happened to even me. Now, I know I said during my introduction that I, uh, I believe in God and I believe in Christ. The the things that I know now, if I would go to some of our mutual friends who also claim to be believers, if I told them the things that I know now through the study that I know, they would probably disown me. Now, you're probably wondering, what on earth is it that you know? And we will get into it. Trust me, we will. But that response that that person gave you of how could you not have enough faith, or you didn't have enough faith, or whatever the case may be, that's a prime example of some of the conversations that we've had on our show, on this podcast, of how people do not see others as equal. They see each other in different levels, different positions. There is no one better than anybody else. And the idea that somebody like that could have said that to my mother just goes to show how far down a rabbit hole they are, or down a hole in general, not just a rabbit hole, but they in that tells me they are lower than you, because they feel they have to critique you on your own beliefs to try and make themselves feel better about something that may have happened to them in the past,
Right. Oh, okay. That's good.
because maybe somebody told them that.
Mm-hmm. Right. And I don't resent them, like I said, for what they did. I did at first, but I don't now, because something good had, what has come good out of it, Brian, is that it has caused me to question a lot of things about my beliefs. And I don't think that's a bad thing, because you know what, like you said, we know a lot of different things now that you and I talk about, right? And we probably could, get into that, I don't know, tonight or another time, but what it has done for me is it has changed my outlook. It has changed my, how can I say it? My relationships. It has changed even my outlook and view on God.
Mm.
Because now I look at it more from a standpoint with other people. Like I said, I look at them now. I look at their heart. I look at them instead of judging them, because now I know how that feels. I look at them as they're in their journey. I want to hear your story. You know what I mean? Because where they're at, either with God or without God, or wherever they're at, I just want to know. And the other thing is that it's caused my relationship with God to change in the fact that more personal, but it's taken me to a different level of even spirituality.
Yeah.
I'm questioning a lot of things, even spiritually.
Well, you want to know something interesting, and to answer your question, Chelsea, I just seen what you asked. Yes, I believe that it's something that either they did or something that may have happened in their past, because nobody just walks up to somebody and says that without carrying baggage. But the one thing that I've noticed throughout the stuff that I've been learning is that the more I learn, the more I can observe another individual and really see the bondage that they're in. And I'm not talking about like they're miserable or anything like that, but I'm talking about like how their own beliefs
Mm.
are holding them back from the potential that they have.
Yeah.
And it's why I really like to discern the difference, because I know people can say, well, you know, Christianity is a religion, even what I believe is a religion. Okay, by definition, yes. However, religion and faith are two completely different things,
Hmm.
because in my mind, religion says, do this, faith says, it's done.
Wow.
Yep.
And it kind of goes with like what Shut the Front Door said about that comment being harsh, that religion, that faith is always good to have, but God may have other plans. There is a reason for everything. And it's true, we don't always know the reason, but something good can always come out of it.
Well, didn't I say in another episode that everything happens the way it's supposed to? Like, a bad thing happens. It's not the bad thing that was intended. It's how you respond to it that's intended. Because it's intent behind the action,
I love
or
that.
intent behind the purpose. Because anybody can have a terrible thing happen to them in life. Like, think of the worst thing you have probably ever heard or ever experienced. How you respond to it says a lot about your character and says a lot about where you want to be in life. Because I've even mentioned it in a prior episode of, it's more inspiring to me when I see somebody who went through the worst thing that they could have gone through, but
Mhm.
instead of letting it destroy them, they let it build them. And I'm one of those people.
Yeah.
I've been through the ringer, putting it nicely.
Hmm.
I could have let it destroy me, but instead, I let the punches keep coming, because I realized that the more I got hit, the more resistant I became to it.
Yeah. And sometimes those bad things, even though you don't want to go through them, sometimes those bad things are a good thing. For instance, do I wish did I want my mother to die? Whatever? No, of course not. But even though it was a long, hard road for me, sitting here today, I can honestly say that good has come out of it.
Well, and see, and that's the thing, right? Like, take the passing of Nana. What is more inspiring? Somebody who lets that situation destroy them like it could have easily done to you, or to see you rise against it and be a pillar of hope to others who have been through the same thing.
Right. Right. Because it caused me to question everything.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we're at. Like, even to the point, Brian, where I can sit here today, and I think you can too, where even my beliefs now have changed.
It's putting it mildly. That's putting it mildly.
Oh, yeah. And so if that wouldn't have happened, would I still be going down the same path? Okay, maybe, like, we don't know, but it did.
Yeah. And I want to make something clear. It for me, during this conversation, I would love to get in depth on this. I absolutely would. But it's not that I don't want to. It's because I know that if I did, this conversation would go on for another 5.5 hours. And I'm not even kidding.
And maybe we could take it like in segments, right? Like another episode and be like a part 2, 3, 4, 5, 10. I don't know.
Yeah, part 50.
Well, and that's the thing. When you start questioning things, when you start digging, when you start exploring, like you said earlier, Brian, I don't know if you really ever arrive, because it's always changing.
No.
And I don't think that's a bad thing.
No, it's not. If anything, when you've ever hit a point, and regardless of what it is, whether it's faith or, the life situations, if you've ever gotten to a point in your life where you're like, okay, I've seen it all, you haven't seen enough.
Well, yeah. And how do you know where the cutoff is?
There is no cutoff. You learn more every day. The more you dig, the more gold you find.
Mhm.
And I can say this particularly, like, again, as the introduction of this live stream, I want to say that none of what I say is intended to be offensive. I'm
No.
telling you this because this is what I have discovered. And I'm not saying it in that sense of this is my truth. I wish I could get everybody to see this because everybody that I talk to about serious, in depth conversations when it comes to God and faith, they walk away looking at me like I'm some kind of guru, like somebody who has just showed them a light that they never seen before. But I don't take any glory for that.
Right.
I don't want to take any glory for that. But people look at me and they're like, how come you know this? And it's like, because I question everything.
It is true. You do.
I
You've
question,
always been like that, though.
I never take anybody's word for face value. Even people who said, I have 58 years of experience in this situation, I still question.
Mhm.
Because the more you question, the more answers you'll find.
Mhm. Yeah.
So it's like I don't want to go down a rabbit trail, so stop me if I do, but it's like the idea of God. Like, have you ever had something bad happen to you and somebody will say, well, it was God's will? I think that's a terrible, terrible thing to say. I think that's a terrible thing to say to somebody. And I'll tell you why. Because through the research that I did, I discovered that God doesn't have as much of a hand on us as we think he does. And I'm not talking about like salvation wise, I'm talking about like the intent of destiny. I'm not saying that people don't have a destiny. I believe that everybody has free will and choice, but all those roads lead to the same destination. But God doesn't throw things at you in the context of, let me throw this at you to see how you'll respond. He already knows how you're going to respond. But what he does is he gives you the freedom to choose how to handle it.
Nice.
They're tests, and not tests of like, I wonder what he'll do next. It's not that. A lot of times when people keep getting pushed, they will reach a point where they will want to grow, where they'll
Nice.
want to grow past their troubles. The only people that don't do that are the self-pitying. There's a word for it. But I've seen people who break under the smallest things. And when I see that, I don't look at it as, are you just giving up? I don't see anybody that just gives up. You know what I see? I see a person who never wanted to fight to begin with.
Oh, wow.
So the idea of God allowing something to happen is not the case. What it is God allowing you the opportunity to grow.
Nice. I like that. And you can obviously talking about God, you're talking about on a spiritual level. And you and I have been going through the changes with the spiritual things and learning a lot of that. And Shut the Front Door just said, I didn't want my mom to pass. However, it has brought my sister closer to me than it ever has been. We were estranged and now our family is closer, mended, and healed. So not even just on a spiritual level, but even in the physical plane, right?
Yeah.
It changes things. Look at me and my brother now.
Mhm.
Mom passes away, dad passed away, and now me and my brother are getting closer. So it works in so many directions. But like you said, sometimes you just have to be willing to pick up those pieces and find a way to grow. And if it takes a hardship, so be it. I don't know.
I guess a physical example of how I can explain what I was talking about would be like, what would happen, or what do you see happen when a forest fire breaks out? It's tragic. You know, trees get burnt down, grass gets burnt down, animals run for their lives. It's a disruption, it's a destruction of nature, right? But what happens after the fire goes out?
Oh, yeah.
Nature rebuilds itself, and it rebuilds itself even better than it was before because the flames make the ground more fertile.
Forged through the fire.
Oh, didn't we have an episode on that?
I think we did. Pretty sure we did.
But you see what I mean? Through destruction can come beauty.
Right.
Through violence can come healing. And that's the whole point,
Right.
is that God doesn't throw things at you because he wants you to be miserable. He wants to give you a reason to become stronger. It's like the bodybuilder at the gym. What good would it do for him to pick up a weight that he can lift with one finger? It ain't going to do anything for him. No, he needs to go pick up the heaviest weights that will tear muscle fibers and build his bones up so that he can become stronger and just grow.
Right.
You challenge yourself.
Mhm.
I'm not trying to advocate that bad things happening is always a good thing. Of course it isn't. And that's why we have each other.
Oh, I love that, Brian.
The strong always should pick up the weak. And I absolutely, and because of the sake of transparency with this episode, I despise how the world is right now. I hate it. I watch the news every single day and watch violence and destruction for no reason over opinions, ideas, and philosophies that do nothing for the core of humanity.
It's true. Because we don't look at each other like what we're talking about here tonight. Like for you and I, we took our tragedies and we turned it around to look at people to, instead of judge or hate or criticize or, for whatever reasons, maybe because they don't believe the way we do or they don't think the way we do, instead of saying, you know what, I encourage you, I lift you up, I want to build you, I want to help you to move on. There's not enough of that.
Not in today's world. And a good example of it is the political climate. God forbid you say what's on your mind.
Right. I know. No, it's true, Brian. So we'll move on a little bit because we've talked about that. We'll keep going. So tonight we have, like I said earlier, the name of our podcast is Transformation Through Your Journey. So when I asked you, Brian, and you kind of answered it, but if you want to elaborate a little bit more, what does transformation through your journey mean to you?
To me personally, and only going by my own life, I would say that it's through the ups and downs that I went through in my life, the transformation has led me to where I am now, brought me to a position of humility, brought me to a position of just selflessness. I don't want to look at the person next to me and think they're any better or any worse than me. If anything, I like to lower myself.
Mhm.
It's like the story in the Bible, right? Of when Jesus washed his disciples' feet. Here you have the king of the universe doing that. How humbling is that? It was an example.
It's a servant's heart.
That's what I want to do. I want to be the one that people come to, not because I can just be a shoulder to cry on, but because through my experiences, I want to be able to show them that they're not alone.
Wow. That's really good. So to me, transformation not only means changing, which we've talked about, but it also means remembering. And when I say remembering, Brian, when you think of transformation through your journey, I also think it means about remembering who you are. And
Mhm.
I'll explain that a little bit. So we talked about in a podcast a long time ago that I had told you that through Mom's passing and being so angry and bitter over things that happened, that I really lost myself. There was one day I looked in the mirror and I didn't even know who I was anymore. And as I was slowly coming out of that and really doing research into different things and, trying to find my way through all this and muddling through, I felt like I was finally finding myself again. And I remember you saying to me, you said, maybe you were there all along. And I said, but I'm scared of finding myself or something in those terms. And you said something like, well, maybe you're scared, but that's who you wanted to be all along. Something in those terms. Do you remember saying that?
Yes. Yeah. Sorry, I was reading.
No, I know.
Mm. It's true.
Oh, wow. I like that. So that's what, transformation through the journey means to me is not just changing yourself, obviously, physically, spiritually, or whatever, which those things are important, right? But it's also remembering who you are.
Yeah.
It's finding yourself through those things that you dare to explore, that you dare to question.
It's the idea of not judging yourself or others because no one is perfect.
Wow. I like
Because we do that a lot. We judge ourselves. And in self-judgment comes the judgment of others. This is why I don't judge people at all. I can't. I literally can't. Like I have friends all the time tell me, I want to tell you something that's kind of personal, but I don't want you to judge me. And I'm like, why would I judge you?
Well, why should you? You're not perfect.
Well,
I'm not perfect.
That's the whole point. People are used to being judged. People are used to it, especially in today's world. We judge each other constantly, and I despise it. Like, I've literally had some people tell me some, pretty crazy things, and with the exception of a few things, there's really not a person can tell me that they've done in their lives that I would judge them for.
Well, you have no right.
Yeah, because what makes me any better? What makes me perfect? How do you define a perfect human being?
Thank you. That's what I was just going to say. And what is your definition of the perfect person? I always tell my students, so they call me G or Miss G. Love my students. Chelsea was actually one of my students. And I always tell them, G, don't judge, because I want them to be able to come to me and talk to me about anything they want, right? And I'm not going to judge, because here's the thing. What right do I have to judge them when I already have skeletons in my closet?
Tell me one person who's lived on this earth, apart from Christ himself, who has ever done anything perfectly. I promise you won't find one.
Well, worry about the log in your eye before you try to take care of the speck in mine.
Often the people who judge the most are the ones that are carrying the most baggage.
Yeah, usually the judging comes from a standpoint of guilt
and
insecurities. But when I look at my students or anyone and I say to them, I'm not going to judge you, it's not because I look at them because I'm trying to figure out their faults or their not faults or their perfectness or they're not. You know how I look at them, Brian? They're human. And they're on a journey.
Are you telling me that no two people are the same? That's a crazy concept, isn't it?
They'll explore their paths and I'll respect them for that. Because you know what? At the end of the day, I might learn something from them.
You got somebody who's asking you for money.
Yes, Chelsea, I still have it. I love her. So when I say remembering who you are, that's what I'm talking about. And you know what? Every day, Brian, every day I ask questions and I do more research. I am constantly not only questioning things, but little by little, I'm still trying to remember who I am. And when I look at it, even from a spiritual standpoint, it's amazing what I find. That like you, I'm finding that I am more than who I thought I was.
Yeah. I often find time. Oh wow,
it's okay.
English is hard. I oftentimes will find that when people tell me that they're trying to find themselves, I don't really see it that way. You want to know how I see it? I see it as I'm trying to find more of myself.
I like that. That's good. And that makes sense to me.
Yeah. Because you were never
really lost.
You were never incomplete.
Yeah, that's a better word.
But you're never done being built.
That's okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I looked up the definition of transformation.
Oh boy.
Here we go. A complete change in the appearance or character of someone or something, especially so that that thing or person is improved. So that is more on a physical plane. So I also looked at it from a spiritual standpoint. It's a profound internal spiritual change from the inside out, not just a change in outward behavior.
Mm. Yeah.
Do you want to add anything to it?
That's pretty accurate.
Yeah, it's pretty good. That's pretty amazing how the dictionary works. You're so sarcastic. That's good, Chels.
Yeah, and
I
I agree.
like that. And I agree. So in episode 26, which was not live, y'all can go back and watch that. We talked about, I'm going to move on a little bit further,
Okay.
if you're okay with it.
Of course, let's always go deeper.
Okay. So in episode 26, we talked about your mind and your words.
Mhm.
Do you remember what you said, Brian? What does your mind and your words mean to you? And if you can't remember verbatim, because that was a ways back, it's okay. You can either change or elaborate or
Your what? Your mind and your thoughts?
what does your mind and your words mean to you?
Oh, I remember. I don't remember what I said word for word, but I do remember I said something along the lines of your mind comes up with the concept and your words help put it into action.
Yeah, I think that's pretty close to what you
I think
said.
it's pretty close.
Mhm. So your words play a huge role in who you are.
Yeah.
Okay. I often say, speak what you want, not what you fear. We've said it's not just your words, it also involves changing your mindset. It is a literal transformation. And we talked about being more than what you think you are. And obviously we talked about that a little bit tonight too. So it involves changing your thoughts, which is also your mindset,
Mhm.
to a more positive way of thinking. And I had read this quote to you. I'm going to read it again because it was a couple of weeks ago, and you can either elaborate on it or okay. So your brain will constantly rewire itself to suit information that you feed into it. If you constantly complain, find excuses, etc., it will make it much easier to find things to upset you, regardless of what is happening around you. Likewise, if you constantly search for opportunities, abundance, love, and things to be grateful for, it will make it much easier to find a reflection of those things around you. It takes practice, but over time, this is a very powerful way to reshape your reality. I remember you said, Brian, wow, I like that quote where it says, your brain will constantly rewire itself. Do you remember that?
Mhm.
And this is why I hate complaining. And I really try not to do it. Is because it's not just because I don't like the negativism, is because I really think that you can change your reality. And maybe you don't feel that way. And if you don't agree with me, it's fine. It doesn't matter to me. Because to me, when you stop complaining and try to find the positive things to talk about, no matter what is happening in your life and around you, that's got nothing to do with it. I think it really will change the reality around you.
Well, it's funny you say it because I do believe it to a certain point in that when a person complains, have you ever been around somebody who complains a lot or somebody that likes to stir up drama? You ever notice that at first it's fun, but then the more it carries on, it's almost like with every word a weight builds.
It's tiring.
It's exhausting. It's exhausting to hate. It's
Mhm.
exhausting to be dramatic. Not dramatic as far as emotions. I mean like stirring drama.
Mhm. Oops, sorry.
But the idea of people that take it upon themselves to make other people's lives miserable through their words or their actions, it really does, like, it honestly, it blows my mind how the media can be so
Negative.
negative all the time. Like, do you guys get tired? Do you guys get tired of this?
I know.
Like, do you just wake up in the morning and, wow, I can't wait to stir up hate today?
It's exhausting.
It's exhausting. And it works the same in personal lives. Like somebody who I'm dealing with on my project that I'm doing, there's a guy that's just constantly complaining, but he never complains to my face. He always complains behind the scenes where I can't do anything. And it's like, do you not get tired of it? Like, like, seriously, do you just wake up in the morning and think, I'm going to do everything I can to make my life and everybody's life around me miserable? What gives you the right to do that?
Right.
Well, what gives another human being the right to make another person's life absolutely miserable?
Well, how miserable are you
Well,
to
why do you
even
have
do
to?
that?
Well, and see, that's why they do it, because they're so miserable. They have to share the emotion with other people so they don't feel alone.
Well, then flip the switch and
They can't.
and try to find the positive in things. Like, I get it. You can make your life miserable if you want to. It's not hard, but you can also make your life better by finding the positives. And at first it will be hard. And I often say, speak the things you want instead of the things you fear, because that is where the positive will come from if you stop doing that. And then people will say to me, well, how can you say that when I look at this situation and this is exactly what's happening? Well, because I'm going to find the positive.
Well, see, it's different in my position, and not different in the sense of like I don't agree with you. I do. The thing is because I have the discussions that I have with people, and I get into some really intellectual conversations. Like it, I'll put it like I said, if I was to get into it like I want to on this show, this episode would be like 5 hours long. But the idea is the things that I've seen, it's not as plain and simple as you think it is. There is a level of hate in the world right now that is so vile that I don't know what on earth it would take to get rid of it. The only thing and the only counter that I can give to it is that you combat it with the love that you give out. Because I notice that when I have some of these discussions with people and I start to see the hate that they have toward me build and they start getting very personal, I don't come back at them like that. I give them more freedom, more respect. And you know what
Wow.
that does? It drives them insane.
Because they don't know how to deal with it.
They don't know how to deal with it. But see, that doesn't tell me of how to fix it. That just tells me how to counter it.
Well, they have to fix themselves. It's not for you to
I
do.
mean, we talked about that on prior episodes of
know?
like, people that are in those positions literally have not hit rock bottom yet.
Right. Exactly.
And like we have said in other episodes, it's unfortunate that that life is the way that it is. But I'm going to promise you something right now. Nobody ever told you life was going to be easy. And anybody that did lied to you. Life is not sunshine and rainbows. Life is not filled with cupcakes and unicorns. Life can be dark.
Mhm.
It can be very, very dark.
Well, and I think that's the reason why it's important to root yourself in a belief. Whatever path you're on, you got to find something that grounds you.
Well, it's not even just a matter of like what you believe, because I don't use my faith as a crutch. I don't. I don't blame God for anything bad that happens to me, or even give him any kind of ridicule or criticism. The way that I see it is that when life throws bad things at me or bad people at me, I use my intuition and my foundation to bring them to a position of humility.
Nice.
It's essentially me trying to hold other people accountable. Like my issue that I'm dealing with right now. When I pull him aside and I have a word with this guy, I'm not going to criticize him or tell him, why have you been saying stuff behind my back? I'm going to ask him, is everything okay? Like, did I do something wrong? Because if I essentially bring the issue onto myself, who is he going to attack? Is he going to attack me or the problem? It
Mhm.
helps me break down his mind,
That's good, Brian.
and it helps me get to the root of the problem.
Well, it is all always in the way you handle situations, obviously. The way you say things, what you say, how you say them, right?
Mhm.
Words are important.
Exactly.
Right. But I think too with that, and I was talking about the complaining thing, is it is hard, especially in the world we're living in today, to not complain. But
I mean, you complain for the right reasons.
and maybe that's what I'm trying to get at.
Complaining about things you can't fix ain't going to fix the problem. Complaining about what you can fix can lead to action.
Right.
And this is the problem I have with people who complain. Because a lot of times, and this is just through my own personal experience, maybe our viewers' experiences are different, maybe yours is different. But the one thing that I notice is that a lot of times when people complain to me about problems, it's about things they can fix, they just refuse to.
Wow. True. Very true.
You know, it's like, for example, I have a friend who's dealing with some, you know, inner group drama. And, you know, I let them complain to me for 2 hours about it. And you know what I said by the end of it? I just asked a simple question. Why don't you just walk away from them? And then they start giving excuse after excuse after excuse as to why they don't want to leave. And I'm like, well, then why are you complaining about it? Like, legitimately, why are you complaining about it? You could say, well, maybe they're ranting or maybe they just need somebody to listen. It's not going to fix the problem. I could sit there and listen to them until my ears fall off. That doesn't mean it's going to fix the problem. They're going to come back to me the next day and still give me the same problems.
Mm-hmm.
Stand up. Take a stand for yourself. Like I've said this in some of our prior episodes, but you are the most important person in your own life. So stop looking at the toxic and disgusting people around you who are bringing you down and think, I can fix them, or I can help them, or I can take the abuse. No, you can't, because eventually it will catch up to you. I don't care what anybody says. It just hits some people faster than others. I literally had a friend of mine tell me, well, I've been in this, I've been in a friend with somebody for like 6 years. And yeah, they're abusive sometimes, but the longer I stay with them, the better they get. Well, are you still getting abused? Yeah. Then the problem's not fixed, sweetheart.
Right.
You know? So it's like, when do you take a stand for yourself and realize that you're better than that?
Right. Mm-hmm.
What has to happen to bring you to that point?
Right.
Until they actually do something to
And
you that's irreversible?
Right. And sometimes you do have to do something about it. And that's, I don't want anybody to misunderstand what I'm saying when I say that you're not complaining can change your situation.
There's a difference between complaining and ranting.
Right. But there's also a difference between complaining and not taking action and complaining and taking action.
See, in my experience, it's very different because a lot of people that I talk to that complain about things on the daily, or like I said, are people that just don't do anything about it. Now, I'm speaking generally. I'm not saying it's everybody, but and maybe it's just because I talk to people in different generations, but like, I have friends that are in their early to mid 20s, and it's just, you could say, well, they're young. They just don't know any better. I knew better. And I know a lot of other people that do. So saying they're young and that they don't know any better is literally just an excuse to keep the pain going. We need people to stand up and tell people how it really is. We need to stop sugarcoating everything. We need to stop telling people that, oh, well, the sky's gray today, but it'll be okay. No, the sky's gray. Keep walking.
Right.
Don't dwell on the bad.
Yeah, because you know what? If you want to complain about the bad, if you want to dwell, like you said, on the bad, you can do it. There's enough of it. But sometimes you just have to not do that.
Well, think about it. In your situation with Nana, what would have been better? You to sit there and blame yourself for the rest of your life for what happened, or you actually doing what you did and stepping up?
No, it was destroying me.
That's what I'm saying. So tell me how complaining and not changing anything can possibly be better than not standing up. Sure, laying down is easy.
Mm-hmm.
Getting up and walking away from it is not an easy thing to do. But what is better in the long term?
Right.
What can help build you and help you grow?
Right.
That's what's important.
So we've discussed thoughts and words. Now we're going to discuss the heart. You and I talked about this a little bit the other day. Oh, God. So to me, Brian, the heart is not just a physical organ, but the center of a person's entire being. encompassing their thoughts, emotions, and will. It is the source of all life, where beliefs are formed, decisions are made, and intentions are set. What do you think about the heart?
Intentions. That last bit was the most important bit in that entire sentence. Intentions behind actions mean everything. Because I can sit here and we'll go back to the complaining argument as an example. If my intention with complaining is to seek guidance with my problem, that's fine. But when you complain to me with the intention of just venting or letting out your frustrations just to let it build up the next day, to me, that's not productive. Intention behind action is everything. Everything, every action possible. It's what discerns the difference between somebody who gets a tattoo because they feel like it or somebody that gets tattooed to honor a family member. I'm not saying one of them is bad. I'm just saying
that's what I'm
intention
like,
is
what?
everything.
Okay.
Intention is everything.
Okay.
It's how you honor the action.
Oh, that was a good example then. How you said that. Okay.
I'm gonna say, don't jump the gun. I always, you know me, I always get to a point when I say
Okay.
something.
I'm like, what?
It's always about honoring the intention behind the action.
Okay. Because there's nothing wrong with tattoos.
It was just an example. I wasn't referring to the tattoo specifically.
I know what
I
you
have
mean.
no issue with tattoos. So
As there should not be any.
I
That's
think
another podcast.
that's another rabbit hole.
podcast.
That's another rabbit hole.
Oh, dear God. Okay, so I found this, and maybe there's more, but I found 3 key aspects of the heart. So, it is the center of identity. The heart is described as the source from which all actions, words, and desires flow. It is the control center of the person's inner life. It is a seat of intellect and emotion. The heart is a place for both rational and emotional activity, including thinking, understanding, memory, and feelings like joy, fear, and love. It is the seat of will. It is where a person makes choices and forms their intentions, differentiating. Thank you. I needed help with that. Between good and evil.
It's always, again, it's about the intent.
It's always about the heart.
It's always about the intent in the heart. You can have to me, actions are neutral. Actions are always neutral. It's the intent behind the action that makes it good or evil.
My mind is just going.
Oh yeah, I know. I can tell. But that's basically, you're absolutely right. You can take any action and apply logic behind it or intent behind it, and that intent and logic is what determines whether or not it's a good or evil action. You know, it's like a trying to think of an example. It's like if I threw a dodgeball at somebody, you know, if I take that and just say, I threw a dodgeball at somebody today, you could sit there and say, well, why would you do that? You know, because, oh no, it was at a dodgeball game. Oh, all of a sudden the context made it clear that my intention was not to be a jerk. I was just playing dodgeball. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Or I could use that exact same example and say, I threw a dodgeball at somebody today. And you could be like, well, were you at a game? No. I just want to lob a dodgeball at somebody.
Oh, dear.
All of a sudden, I've entered the realm of immoral because now I've thrown a ball at somebody and I probably would have hurt them. You know what I'm saying? It's not the action. It's the context and the intent that help define an action.
Always. Exactly, Chelsea. Yeah. And she said it's all on how things are said. And that is the next thing I was getting to. Oh my goodness, Chelsea, did you read my notes? So I have on here, Brian, that I've heard it said, out of the heart, the mouth speaks. Do you want to elaborate?
You'll always find out a person's intents depending on their words and their actions.
Well, and I've always said to you, I can sit and talk to someone and it won't take me long to figure you out. And it's weird because, and I don't know, maybe that's not the word to use, but I'm the type of person that when you talk to me, I'm not just hearing you, I'm listening because I want to know. I hang on every word because I want to know why you're saying what you're saying, why what you're saying is, does that mean that what you're saying is how you're saying? Do you know what I mean? Like I'm looking at the whole thing.
You already know me. I analyze everybody that talks to me.
Like what is your intent behind what you're real? There's always a deeper meaning to what someone is saying. And I'm not trying to say that everybody's has a malicious intent. That's not what I'm saying. But it's deep.
Yeah. Well, it's like I had I guess you could call it an owner interview with one of my associates. And we were calling him on the carpet for some things that he was doing, and he was getting defensive. And I said, listen, bro, I've been respectful to you. I've been nice to you and I've heard you out. But I can tell you're getting defensive. And he's like, no, I'm not. No, you are. Because your voice is raising. You're becoming very, you're giving me excuses. I don't want excuses. I want results. But it's like, it's not what he was saying. It's how he was saying it.
Right. Yeah. And Chelsea said, you said that to me before, G. And yes, Chelsea, I have. We've had some good conversations, her and I. I really miss her at school so I could have my deep conversations. I wonder if people. Yes, I believe that is true. Absolutely.
Because it's like I said earlier in this episode, people don't want to take responsibility. They don't
Yeah.
want to have the accountability.
Well, then you got to change. And who in the world would want to do that? You know, I have found through this journey, Brian, I was really scared to change at first, maybe because I was afraid of what I would find. But I'm finding now I'm more freer now than I've ever been.
And I think to people that are in different walks, or not walks, but different places in their life, people see somebody like you or me and see how quote unquote free we are. I think it terrifies them.
It did me at first.
No, not us. I'm saying if somebody were to see you right now
Oh, now.
and they saw, because some people, and this is again just my experience, people that I talk to that see my level of confidence, they get intimidated by it. And I ask them, like, people come to me like, I'm a little intimidated by you. And I'm like, why? And they're like, because it looks like you have everything together. And I'm like, it's not that I have everything together. It's that I know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And I humble myself in that. And people are like, I think that's what it is. It's because you don't carry yourself in an arrogant way. You humble yourself. And it freaks people out. But then the more they get to know me, the more they realize, holy crap, he ain't fake.
Oh, you ripped that mask off?
There was never a mask to begin with.
Right. Right. And this is how I am with my students. The reason I'm the way that I am with them is because I don't want them to be me, but I want them to see the qualities in me that I want them to have.
Well, and
Does that make sense? And
Yeah.
I'm not being proud when I say that, but I want them to find themselves just like I am finding myself.
Well, I tell people all the time that the level of confidence that I have that you wish you had, you have it. You have it. But you're afraid to tap into it. And then I tell them, I don't think it's me you're afraid of.
It's you.
I think you're afraid of your own potential.
Yeah. It's scary to find yourself.
Yeah, it
But
can be.
on the other side of that coin, Brian, because that's where I was after Mom passed away and things were changing, and I knew I had to change my situation because it was going in a really bad direction. It was scary. But like I said, now as I'm digging and finding and questioning and researching and looking, I'm more free now than I've ever been. Have I arrived? Absolutely not.
Right.
But I'm okay with where I'm at right now. I got a long way to go.
Well, and see, that's the thing. I don't like to think of myself as I've ever stopped. I always think to myself, what other piece can I find of myself that I didn't have before?
Nice.
It's like constantly, it's like building a house, it's a house that never ends. It's always a house you can add more to. I mean, doesn't the Bible say the body's the temple?
It does.
If you know anything about temples, they can be very elaborate.
Oh, wow. I like that.
And
So,
oftentimes when they're done, they are made of gold and silver.
yeah, tried in the fire, friend. So I've also heard it said, Brian, not only out of the heart the mouth speaks, but I've also heard, for as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. What does that mean to you?
I think it means that if a person views themselves in a negative way, the negative will come out, and vice versa.
This is true. Yep. Nailed it. So when you allow yourself to make these changes within, it is the renewal of the mind, which is your thoughts, your words, and your heart. By changing yourself first, you're becoming the reflection, not the mirror. That's why I always inspire my students to aspire.
Mhm.
Not always necessarily to be me, but I always tell them this: be you.
Yep.
Pull that mask off.
Yep. Don't be fake.
Right. Holding yourself at a higher standard by showing empathy, compassion, and love instead of judging. This way, you will find ways to agree to disagree by being patient and respectful of where others are in their journey.
Yep.
And that's why it's important, because we can learn from each other instead of dividing and bashing each other for whatever beliefs, or like, let's just be done with that.
You want to know something funny?
Let's just be done.
Some of the people that disagree with me the most are some of my best friends. And you know why?
Because you allow them to?
No, because we understand each other.
You understand each other's differences. I like that.
Yep.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Because I like I said earlier, and I've alluded to it several times, that I myself am a believer in God, and some of my closest friends, some of them are atheists, and they always come to me for questions, not necessarily faith-based questions, but just life experience questions.
Nice.
Because I approach it from both a spiritual and a physical context. I say, this is what I would do, and this is the reason why. Again, it's like an example that I gave in an earlier podcast episode of telling your child not to put their hand on the stove. I could tell them not to do it because I'm the parent, or I could tell them why they shouldn't do it. It's like that. It's the exact same example.
Mm-hmm.
And these people end up becoming some of my closest friends.
Nice.
And the more that I spend time with them, the more I understand them, the less I judge them, the more closer they get to me, and they start to question not so much my belief, but their own.
Right.
And I'm not talking just spiritually. I'm talking
Right.
about their beliefs about themselves.
I like that, Brian, because you're actually telling me that it's okay to have people around you that don't believe the way you do.
Of course it is.
And you don't judge them?
No.
I'm being sarcastic.
I know you are. I'm just saying, like, the funny thing, and I'll use a political example of like Democrat and Republican. I have a lot of Democratic friends. Now, I'm not myself a Republican. I probably consider myself more moderate or non-affiliated, because I personally hate the political climate right now for reasons other than just being political. But my friends know that I do lean conservative. But a lot of my friends are Democrats, and they look at me with respect. You want to know why? Because I don't just hear what they say. I hear what they say because it's coming from them.
Wow.
They mean something to me. And in doing that, I mean something to them.
So you value their humanity?
Yes. I don't care what you believe. You can have any opinion you want. As long as your opinion does not advocate for any kind of physical violence, I don't care what you believe. Because I don't see you as your beliefs. I see you as a living, breathing human being. with feelings, desires, and emotions, who wants nothing more than just somebody to care about them. And anybody who denies somebody that right, regardless of their position or their beliefs, in my opinion, you're less than human if you turn another person down
Right.
or you belittle somebody. How dare you do that? What gives you the right
Exactly.
to tell another human being that their opinions and their values don't matter? Because don't you want yours to matter? What if the roles were reversed? What if somebody was telling you your opinions didn't matter? It wouldn't feel very good now, would it? Stop the hate. For the love of God, stop the hate.
Yeah. Just look at us as all human coming together to respect one another in our beliefs, in what we do, what we don't do. I mean, who has the right to say what you should do or not do? You're in your own journey. Explore, question, find,
Yeah.
support, love. That's what I'm talking about.
And this is why people can't argue with me, because I'm talking about this from a pure, humble, loving experience. I don't want people to hate each other. I don't want people to argue. I want people to come together. Could you imagine what America would look like right now if we all stood together and just said we just want the same thing of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness?
Mm.
Where would we be?
Well, maybe someday, Brian.
Maybe.
Wow. So I had read this quote a long time ago before we wrap this up. It's called the transformation quote.
Mm.
And it will sound familiar to you once I read it, but it says the transformation quote is that the stage between who we are, who we were, and who we're becoming, where it feels uncomfortable, uncertain, and sometimes downright painful. It's easy to forget that transformation doesn't feel like growth, it feels like falling apart. The cocoon isn't glamorous, it's dark, quiet, and full of surrender. But this is where the magic happens, where the old story dissolves and the wings begin to form. So if it feels heavy right now, just know you're in the middle of becoming something beautiful. Keep going. It's all worth it.
Mm. That's good.
And that's why I just wanted to encourage people that are on their individual journeys right now, whether it's a physical thing, a mental thing, an emotional thing, even spiritual, whatever. You know what? Enjoy your journey. Nana always used to say to me, because I'd say to her, God, I'm so miserable with life and da da da, and say stupid things like that. She looked at me one day and she said, Penny, never despise your journey. You never know where it will take you.
Yep. And I've told people that before too, not necessarily in those same words, but I tell people that, life may be difficult for you right now. You might not be getting what you want or getting what you deserve. But at the end of the day, the sun will always shine again.
Mm-hmm.
And just because you want it to shine right now, maybe it's not time yet.
Yeah.
Maybe you haven't learned enough yet.
Maybe there's something in there for you to find, like a piece of gold.
In my experience, I always found more enjoyment from the hardships of my life because it helped me to build myself. It's very easy to go through life when life is good, isn't it? It's very easy to not want for things when the sun is shining.
Mm-hmm.
But when the clouds roll in and the rain starts falling, you oftentimes find out a lot about people when their lives turn gray.
Yeah. True colors, friend.
That's why I always encourage, because I had a friend who had gotten into a relationship recently, and she was telling me how amazing it was or is. And I was like, I was giving her a lot of, congratulations on it and all that. But in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, let's wait till they have their first fight, their first argument. because you'll often find a lot of a person's true intentions when you reach that point. If you can get past the first hurdle, then your journey's just beginning.
Yeah.
And I'm just being real. I'm not trying to be, Mr. Downer over here. I'm serious. Life is easy when things are good. But how you handle the bad, that's how you know where your strength is. I always encourage challenges. You know this. I always love change.
Yes, you
I
do.
always love hardship because it gives me an opportunity to show myself accountable.
Mhm. Yep.
And that's what I encourage all of you to do. Don't look at the bad things in your life and think, why is it happening to me? Say, what can I do to make it better?
Right. Exactly.
Bad, hard times will come. They always do. But at the end of the day, like I said earlier, the sun will always shine again.
Yep. Exactly. So you can change and shape your reality by changing your mindset, which is your thoughts, speaking what you want, not what you fear, and your heart will line up as you transform through your journey. Is there anything you want to add before I read our quote?
Nope, I've pretty much said what I've had to say.
Okay.
I mean, I know, like I said, I could have said a lot more.
Oh, yeah. And we may. You
Yeah.
never know. On our next live podcast, we'll see what we can say. So I'm going to read our quote that I always leave you with. Believe in yourself, be patient with yourself, and know that your best is always good enough. Know that we can be found on many different platforms, like I need to find my paper here, Apple, YouTube, Spotify, and X. Please like, share, subscribe, and turn on any notifications. We also have a Facebook page called Give 'em Heck Podcast. It would be good if you got on there because we give a lot of our announcements on there, let people know when we're going to be coming live or anything that we need to post to give you guys an update. We also have an email at giveemheck@gmail.com. Other than that, are we going to be doing another live next Saturday night?
It's a good question. We'll have to think about that, and we'll post an update in the Facebook. The link to the Facebook is in the description of this live stream, and it's in other episodes too, if you can't find it for whatever reason. But no, the one thing that I'd like to say in this is that if you find yourself in a position where you know somebody in your life that maybe you've been judgmental of, or that you've shared a very harsh criticism with, I encourage you to reevaluate yourself and bring yourself to a position of humility, of knowing that no one's perfect. Everyone makes mistakes. Everybody does things that sometimes human nature just spontaneously lets us do. But at the end of the day, you're the one in charge of yourself. You're the most important person in your life, and how you carry yourself speaks volumes to other people around you. So I encourage you to treat others with kindness, love, and respect, because at the end of the day, would you want them to love and respect you back? Or would you like to be the one that's in the position they're in?
That's right.
Always put yourself in the shoes of the other person.
And I think it's important too, Brian, to do that because, and I'm not trying to be, again, the Debbie Downer here, but you never know if something were to happen to that person, if that was the last thing you ever said to them.
Yeah,
exactly. Life is precious and life is short. So we need to learn to value each other because you never know if that last conversation is going to be the last time you ever see them.
Exactly.
I mean, you lost a best friend.
Yeah.
Yeah. So life is valuable.
It is. It is. We don't realize, you don't know what you have until it's gone. So,
Ain't that the truth?
With all the encouragement that we can possibly offer to you, we hope that you all have a fantastic evening or day, depending on what time you're watching this. And we hope to see you again on the next episode.
Mhm.
Goodbye, everyone.
Good night.